Hello and welcome everybody to my video on sacred instruments. Please enjoy as we journey through all the different aspects and types of sacred instruments from around the world. This is part one. Hello everybody and Happy New Year. I decided to record this today because today is the 1st of January 2018. Oh, I had to think for a minute there. And I thought it'd be a really great day to do my very first video for 2018. So I hope all of you had a safe and happy New Year celebrations. And I just thought it'd be a nice way to kick off the new year for all of us. So this video is called, it's about sacred instruments. Now, I think if any of you follow me on my Saturday morning news, which I do every Saturday, around 9:30 Queensland time, Australia, I've said that I got a message to do sacred instruments. So all my references have come from Wikipedia, and it was really interesting. When I started planning this out, I decided to check out and see what there was and all that sort of thing. And I'm also going to try to insert pictures in with all this to show you the instruments. I was doing that today, trying to source images for you guys. That proved a little bit more challenging. So I have done the best that I can do. I've tried to find collective pictures of everything, but it's been a bit challenging. I've been somewhat successful, so I'm going to try to put pictures in when I'm talking about the different types of sort of secular type sacred music that's around and the instruments they use. So with all that, let's get started. So as you know, we have lots of different religions right around the world, and I was trying to find a definition that defines what a sacred instrument is, and I actually couldn't find one. I Google. I love Google. Google's my friend. I love Google. And I couldn't find anything on Google. I just could not find a thing. It was like, what the hell? So I'm going to give you my personal definition as opposed to a book definition, I suppose, or a official definition. For me, a sacred instrument is something that is used in a ceremony. Now, a ceremony can be prayers. It can be. It's a very broad thing. It's a ceremony, a sacred ceremony. It's anything that you hold sacred, and it's whatever instruments you use to help with the chanting, or if you're singing, or any other sort of type of sort of solemn stuff that you're doing. That's for me what sacred instruments are. They're used in those types of ceremonies. So that's what my definition is of that. So when I did go onto Wikipedia, I'll tell you what, guys, don't try to say that one really, really fast if you've had a few drinks. That's all I can say, because it's one of those words that it just won't come out really well if you've had a few to drink, I'm sure. And I'm dead cold sober at the moment. So Wikipedia listed 9 main religions when I searched it, but I've added a couple more in. So it didn't use any Indigenous cultures. So the list goes as such. The first one is, of course, the Christian faith. Then there was the Hindu faith. Then there was the Sikh music. Then there was Jewish, and that proved very challenging. And so did the Sikh, because some of these things actually overlap. They intertwine. So, and the instruments intertwine. So that sort of proved a bit more, interesting, as well as the Islamic faiths. The Sikh, the Jewish and the Islamic, I found some of those really intertwined with their musics, like their instruments. So that was a bit sort of harder to kind of segregate out. Then you have the Rastafarian, and you have Shinto, which is a Japanese religion. You have Buddhists, and there's also there's different schools within Buddhism. So they use different things. So you have, different cultures of Buddhism. You have your Tibetan, you have your Zen, you have your Chinese. There's Buddhists over in Bali. So you've got, with some of this stuff too, you've got a lot of cultural stuff that sort of seeps into it as well. So that's just another thing you have to take in. So then you've got, now I had trouble pronouncing this, so please excuse me. Zoroastrian. That's Zorastrian. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I've actually never heard of it. So it must have been a very old religion. And from the reading that I did, researching this, it was a very ancient type of religion, and it sort of got melded into a more modern religion. So I forget which one that was, because I've done so much reading, I tell you. But it sort of got taken up by a newer religion, as in one of the more modern types. Okay, so on top of that, you've got your Australian Aboriginals, and you've got your Native American Indians as well. So you've got your Indigenous cultures as well. That's what you've got as well. So it really became really apparent to me that there are so many different instruments, and they, like I've said, they all interweave. So I can only sort of name a few, and some of them, if my pronunciation is wrong, please excuse me. Because trust me, some of these are tongue-tied, and I may not be, pronouncing them properly, just because I'm not really sure how to pronounce them. So there was lots of crossovers. And so, some of the more Indigenous cultures as well have their own instruments that they use as well. So I'm going to start from the top, and like I said, I'm going to try to insert pictures as I go. So that's going to be an editing thing. So wish me luck on that one, because I've never done anything like this before. So this could be a bit of a challenge for me, but I'm going to do my best to try to put photos in above where I am to show you what the instruments may look like. If you see photos, you know I've been successful. Go me, that's all I can say. So of course you've got your Christian ceremonies. That's probably one of the better known sort of religions around the world. And a lot of their instruments came through from the Renaissance period, when Christianity first really started. And that's what I was going for, the more secular type of stuff that they used way back when. So of course they had a lute, they used lutes, they used a Renaissance guitar, which obviously was a forerunner to the modern guitar, a medieval harp, which of course would have been a forerunner to the modern harp, recorders, which was very much in the medieval times, and the Tudors and all that sort of thing. They used recorders and all that sort of music. A drum, a very long, thin drum called a tabor was also used. A criterion, I'm not sure. It was a stringed instrument anyway. Bells and nakers. Now I believe a naker was a small rounded drum. And if you see me glancing down, I have got notes. I have to have notes on this. So they're the types of things they used. Of course, in our more modern religions, we've got pipe organs that they use, and nowadays, guitars and, lots of different instruments now are also used in Christian, sacred, Christian ceremonies these days. So, but that's just like the older forerunner versions, So you've got, your pipe organ, your normal organ, pipe organs are gorgeous. Who hasn't heard a pipe organ? Oh my goodness, they're beautiful. So the next one I'm going to be moving on to is Hindu. Now you've got, of course, that's all Indian culture as well. And I had lots of fun trying to find some of their instruments as well. So they use a veena, or it's also known as a bean. And like I said, I couldn't find photos for all of these. So some I'll mention, but you won't see photos of. a sarigani venue, which is like a flute, and miridaga or tabaya. I'm not quite sure what that is. I'm assuming it may be a type of drum, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. So that's the type of thing. And like I said, you've got your traditional Indian instruments, which probably would also be used in any of their small ceremonial type stuff where they're doing, you know, sacred ceremonies and sacred ceremonies to do around their faith. So these are all instruments that is to do with people practicing their faith, the things they use when they're practicing their faith. That's what this is all about. This is why I named it sacred instruments, because it's to do with what is used when people are practicing their faith. Now we've got the Sikh. Now this is getting into the tongue-tying stuff, guys. They have Fidavida. I am going to spell it Fidavdia. Rabab. Rabab. Okay, please don't judge me. I'm doing the best I can with some of these words. A Saranda, Jori. I'm not sure whether that's a drum or not. A Teos, a Diriba, which is Diruba, and a Trota. It's Trota. So, like I said, a lot of these things, I don't know whether I'm saying them properly, but that's like the type of things they use. I did notice when I was like looking at pictures and that, there was a little organ type thing that I saw keep coming up that was used by the Jewish people. And I've also saw it within like the Islamic and the Sikh type pictures as well. So maybe it's one of those crossover instruments. And of course, you know the very long instruments that only have a couple of strings on it and are very long and have a long neck and a small body. I'm sure you've all seen all those type of instruments are used a lot too. Plus drums. Drums are used a lot too. Then you've got the Jewish faith. Now the Jewish faith use a kinnor, which is a lyre. They use a nevel, which is like a harp, They have a shofar, which is a ram's horn. Now, I will say that I only settled on using a photo of a shofar because it was just proving too challenging to try to find all these instruments. I will say though, what I did discover in my research is the shofar, which is the horn, is not just not used. They don't just use rams horns either. They use other animal horns as well. I think I saw a gazelle or an animal like a gazelle, and there was another one I saw that they use their horns as well. So that's really interesting. Now, the next one is a trumpet. It's a type of trumpet. Now, I cannot pronounce this, so I'm going to spell it to you. And if you guys can tell me, and any of these things, if you guys know what any of this stuff is, and you can just help enlighten me a little bit more, or just, just make me sort of go, okay, is that how you say it? Now, this next one, I am going to spell it for you because I am not even going to attempt to say it. It's Hatzot. Zrot, and there's a funny little thing above it. Sorry that I paused there, but I was trying to figure out what I'd written because I was trying to write at the same time as reading. It was a bit different. It was a bit challenging. So there's 3 different varieties of pipes. They have like wind pipes. The one thing I did discover that is used across all of these faiths is some type of air instrument, some sort of flute or pipe. All of them have some sort of air instrument that they use, which was quite interesting. So they have 3 different sorts. They have a chalil, and that's Chlill. They have a Alamoth, and they have, now the next one I'm going to spell, it's Uggav. I don't even know, I can't even think how to pronounce that. If somebody knows how to pronounce it, let me know. I couldn't find any pictures of these. I did hunt, but they're all like wind type instruments. So that's those sorts of things. Also, the Jewish also had what they call a temple orchestra. Now, in the temple orchestra, they also include cymbals which are made from copper, and a pipe organ called Mangrefa. That's Magrepha. So, and that was a little organ. I kept seeing a photo of a little organ, and I think I've got one which I'm going to try to put in. That's what I could see, and that was very challenging, trying to find all the Jewish instruments. There was lots of accordions and guitars and all the sort of more modern instruments. And I mean, there was a lot of the shofar. I saw a lot of pictures of people playing the shofar, which is the horn. But the actual other stuff I found very difficult to sort of try to find. So after that, I then went to the Islamic faith. Now they use lots of drums. Now they use a daf, that's a DAF, bendir, which is BENDIR, and a zab, a rihana, which is REHANA. They use gongs, they use lutes, or also called an oud, OUD. They use wind instruments, so here's another wind instrument as well, and it's called a ney, it's NEY. And they also have a reed instrument called chevinal, that's SHEHNAL. So like I said, some of these are pretty hard to pronounce. So once again, the common denominator in a lot of these instruments are, a lot of wind instruments are used. Now, a really interesting one was the Rastafarian faith and music. I hadn't even thought about that. I personally didn't realize that. I knew it was a way of life, and I knew the Rastafarians was a culture. I didn't really realize that it was actually based around a faith. So I've learnt a lot by doing this video, trust me. So they use drums. These guys, Bob Marley is probably one of the most famous Rastafarians out. Okay, so they're into the reggae, they're into the beats, they're into the rhythms. So they use like a lot of drums in their sort of stuff. They also use a lot of syncopated beats in their sort of stuff. So I read that the bass line is created by a 3-drum set called a kete, which is AKETE. And I've actually got a photo of the drums. Then what they do over the top of that, they put a syncopated beat, and they use a funde drum, that's FUNDEH drum, to put that beat with. They also use percussion instruments, so they use things like rattles and tambourines to add, just colour and, just more interesting sounds over the top. So theirs is a more vocal and rhythmical. And I suppose that also comes back from the Afrikaan to Africans as well, because a lot of the Rastafarians have a lot of like African heritage. So Africans use a lot of rhythms and a lot of beats and that sort of thing. So that's probably where the tie-over comes into the Rastafarian faith. Then you've got Shinto. Now Shinto is Japanese. Shinto is a Japanese faith. Now they use string instruments, and one is called a wagon, and it's WAGON. That's how you spell it. The other one is called a kagaru biu. That's KAGURA, and then there's a dash, and then it's BUE. I'm going to spell the next one because there is no way on earth I am going to be able to say it. I'm going to try to say it. Hichiriki, which is Hichiriki. And then you've got the Suzu, which is Suzu. The Suzumi, which I think I've heard of the Suzumi, and I'm sure a lot of people probably have heard of the Suzumi. And then there's now this is an interesting one. A Shakubayoshi, which is ShakubyOshi. Now, one thing I did read about the instruments. They are reed instruments. A couple of those are reed instruments, and if you've ever seen the Japanese women playing that very long instrument with all the strings, I think that's probably part of all those sort of things that they use as well. Plus there's like the long strings held upright ones, I believe, as well. And so then we move on to the Buddhists. Now, Buddhism as a faith is a very diverse faith. Like I said earlier, you have a lot of different schools of Buddhism, and within that is also a lot of cultural influences as well. So because of that, different schools of Buddhism will use different types of instruments. I mean, there is a common denominator, but if you were to look at the Tibetan faith, you would be very familiar seeing the Gautama, I can never pronounce it, Gautama monks. They're the monks that have the really huge, bright headdresses, and they play the really long pipes. I'm sure you've probably seen photos of those. So, you know, a lot of different Buddhist faiths use different types of instruments to practice their ceremonies. A lot of the stuff they do is chanting, and the instruments are just used to accompany the chanting. A lot of the time the instruments are used to just keep everybody in time, to be quite honest, and to just signal beginnings and to signal endings. So that's what a lot of time, and to chant along to. And of course, in a lot of these faiths, the voice is used as a sacred instrument, and the voice is an instrument. The voice is recognized as an instrument of its own. So all the chanting, whether it be Gregorian chanting or Buddhist chanting or any other form of chanting, all revolves around the voice. So your voice is also an instrument as well, and it's also used in a sacred way as well. So the first one I found was that, now I'm going to pronounce this because there's no way I can say this. Shakuhachi. I can't say it. I'm not going to even try. Now it belongs to the Tozan school, which is a Zen school, and it's a bamboo instrument. And then you have another bamboo instrument which they use, and it's a Hochiku, which is Hotchikiku. Now it's another bamboo instrument. One is more refined to the other. One is less refined than the other. They're both made from bamboo, but one is like it's been more shaped is a better word, but like it's been lacquered inside and it's had more done to it. Where the other one's a more raw instrument. It's just like the bamboo, it's been holed out and it just has holes dug in it and that's it type stuff. And that was the second one. Now they also use a thing called a fish, which I do have a photo of. I actually own a little one. I was going to bring my stuff in, but then I just thought, no, I won't. I'll just chat to you guys. So the fish is a percussive instrument. It's something that's actually hit. And then they have gongs. They have tingshas, which are finger cymbals. You might see them hitting them. So they use gongs, they use cymbals. They also use horizontal gongs, so gongs that are standing up. They use those. They use a damara, galing, laga nan, a roll mo, a handheld bell, a Tibetan bowl. Now most of you would know what a Tibetan bowl is. A Tibetan bowl is very popular. You can get Tibetan bowls in all sorts of sizes, from this thing to like so big it's not funny, you know, and you get different types of Tibetan bowls made from different materials. So most people are familiar with the Tibetan bowl. It's the one that you can either hit, and it has a rubber mellow, and you can either hit it, or have you seen people like they roll around like that? They do that, they roll around the top, and they make a vibrational sound at the top. So they also apparently used ancient tambourine music of the Kermasha as well. So I found out. So that's where I'm going to leave this one, because I'm doing this video in 2 parts. I decided to do this one in 2 parts because otherwise it's going to be hella long and you guys are going to be falling asleep. It's as simple as that. So thank you for watching the part 1 of this Sacred Instruments video. Please give it a thumbs up. Please also feel free to leave comments about if you have any information about any of this stuff, or you know how to say it and you can help me. By all means, go for it. That would be awesome. Also, don't forget, if you like these videos, to share them so other people can discover my channel as well. Also, don't forget, I also have my Saturday morning news that I'm going to be doing I do most Saturdays around 9:30 Queensland, Australia time. And I'm doing monthly videos as well. So I do these videos monthly, and I try to post them at the end of the last week of the month for you guys. I know I am a little bit late. In fact, I'm the beginning of January, but that's because of Christmas and everything else that's been going on. So thank you for watching part 1. Please hang around and wait for part 2, because it'll be out in another couple of weeks. So wherever you are in the world, please have a good night, have a good day, stay safe, and until I see you in my next video, thank you very much. Ami Tofo, and bye everybody.